Shabbat Shalom, y'all. It's my first official Shabbat since I requested my schedule change so that I could have Shabbat off. So I had a very pensive and restful day. I did spiritual studies. I took a ritual salt bath and read about the energies of archetypal angels. And let's see what else. Oh, I caught up on a Kabbalah class while I cooked a big pot. And yeah, it's been really good, and I created some content, but otherwise I just was pretty chill. I thought it was interesting though that my Kabbalah class was of course the perfect reminder as usual. And the portion or the chapter in the angel book that I'm reading, I have scratches on my arms from thorns from the forest. Don't worry, I'm like, nothing weird is happening. It's not like anything dark or morose. It's just out in the woods. So yeah, the chapter in the book I'm reading about angels, these angels are associated with the Hebrew letters, the major arcana of the tarot, and the causal powers of the planets. So they're repetitive in theme, or like these angels are recognized as different things, but they're constantly, showing up in all of these different systems. And so it's these 22 angels, and the book's called Angels Within Us, and it looks absolutely super cheesy, but it's actually really, really good, and it's a lot deeper than the cover would make you think. But it's so crazy because this chapter is about the angel of renunciation and regeneration that I was reading today. It's chapter 13, and it is centered around basically the Hanged Man card, which is a pause in activity to change your perspective and your outlook. And so it goes right along with our message today. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can go there and follow me at Liz_Taylor_Magick. There's a link in the description box below. And on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I post our readings there earlier in the day before we come on here and discuss further. And sometimes it's a different sort of description or look at it than we have in the discussion, so it's worth getting it at both places. Alrighty, so, and while we're talking shop, like this channel. Thank you for all the brand new subscribers that have been coming in the last few days. Help me by liking this video, comment. If you don't know what to say, an emoji is great, but the more actions you take on the videos, the better. Also a note that if a video is clicked on and it's not watched, it's like kind of a strike against, so it's not helpful for creators if you just like repeat, so they'll have like a bunch of view counts, because then it lowers their retention rates in the minutes watched, so that like all those averages check out. So if that makes sense, I always just try to give people tips on what's the best way that they can help people in the algorithm, and basically it's just like watch the video, like it, and like leave a comment and share it and stuff like that. You can always save it in a private playlist as well. All right, so from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, we've got perception, followed by freedom, followed by playfulness. And I think that you guys will be interested in the repetition of themes that I was picking up on. And then out of our Mystical Moments Tarot, we pulled underneath perception, we pulled the Feminine King of Wands. And so remember, we've been talking about in this tarot deck, the creator decided to create a feminine version of most of the male king face cards, including the Emperor. I can't remember if there's like a masculine and feminine knight in those other court cards, but definitely the kings, they have a feminine version of the king alongside a masculine version of the king. So the way I've been reading these, especially in the last few weeks, is that the feminine version of the king is the last one in the deck, in the suit. So to me, it's like, okay, you get to the queen, and that's like the divine feminine mastery of the element. If you get to the king level, you're in the divine masculine level of the element. But with the king, the feminine king of the element, you get the fusion and the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine qualities of that element within the self. So it's like this higher level of self-mastery. So we have a perception anchored by this higher level of self-mastery, where it comes to our sense of self-esteem, our sense of self-worth, our sense of willpower. You know, this is the queen, this is the wand suit. So this is our spiritual identity, our self-esteem, our willpower, our perseverance, our sense of drive. The fire sign is a masculine sign. So this is going to be assertive and dominant masculine energies of assertion and taking action and being, you know, full of grit and perseverance and passion and persistence. This can also be that energy of being like wanting to sow wild oats and things and having finally, you know, brought that under control. And the mature level is able to use all of that passion and desire and channel it in a focused way. And so in order to really use that passion in a productive way that's not self-destructive, it's going to take a slight shift in our perspective. And it's up to us to choose whether we want to just choose to have a perception and a consciousness of certainty in the Creator, or if we want to let fear, lack, doubt, insecurity, complaining, being critical take over. And that taints everything at a seed level. You know, it's like it burns the mirepoix before we even start the soup. So the whole thing is kind of ruined from the start. Whereas if we say, oh, I feel my negativity coming in, but instead, and even though it's hard to believe, and I almost don't even have the real faith for this to believe that these circumstances are going to turn around, I'm just going to choose it anyway. I'm going to choose to act in that direction. I'm going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to choose certainty. And if I have to zip it and like not go there and not go down that road of like focusing on what I don't want, so be it. Adopt a sense of craziness, a level of like transcending rationale. It's like Amuna is a level of faith beyond reason. And so it's like, you're like, yeah, I'm a logical person. I can see that this is bleak. Right? I can see that logic would tell me, reason would tell me, conventional wisdom would tell me like things are bleak or this is like how it's going to play out. But my certainty, my belief in like miracles, and I see the magic and wonders that how the Creator moves in the world. And I realize that I'm not really operating on the same rules that the people who are in 3D consciousness are operating under. Right? I've elevated beyond that. I am operating on the real rules behind the scene, right? It's like energy. Where attention goes, energy goes, and energy creates our reality. And I'm a co-creator with spirit. And that's part of my inheritance, you know, as a divine human being. But we're not all at a divine level of consciousness in our human adventure, right? We start off as like an animal level of human, reacting to the winds of change, you know, scared, defensive, grasping, needy, and our base instincts, and our primal instincts, and our primal desires with no real self-control. And then, you know, we might get a little bit more self-control and a little bit more self-awareness. And then we're at a human level. And that's at a certain level of consciousness. But once we start to transcend that level, and I think at that level of consciousness, it's like you're self-aware, you're, you know, starting to try to become aware of your consciousness and how you interact in the world. You're trying to use your wisdom, you're trying to use your reason and your logic and your experience. But then it's like we get to a level even past that consciousness where we can transcend that logic and be led by our intuition and fine tune that power and trust in that divine works in mysterious ways, and that you can shift the energy with your belief, with your faith, with your certainty. And the more unchanging and unwavering that energy is, the more strong, the more powerful it is, the more influential it is to change the situation, to mold to that energy. So yes, we are perceiving ourselves differently. We are perceiving our situation differently. As we're going into this new beginning, we're realizing that we're like no longer the person that we used to be, and all those old stories don't really check out anymore. We're tired of telling them. We're tired of like listening to ourselves tell them. We're tired of thinking about them. We're tired of living in the wake of what those stories created. And so now it's like, now that we got to take the tape out, we're like, okay, well, what do we want to do? Who do we want to be as we're going forward? What's the new story that we're telling? We're making it up. We're in a state of becoming, you know, in this present moment. And that's where our power is. It's not dwelling on the past, and it's not future tripping, because we're creating it in the now. And so going forward, we're trying to awaken and shift that consciousness and try to practice that discipline of staying in that awareness so we can direct our energy and our willpower into where our soul is guiding us, in order to really start like revealing that potential at this new level, at this new up level, as we embody this new self and this new way of being, this new perception, which leads us to freedom, which was anchored by temperance. And so freedom and temperance, I feel, are linked together, because I feel that, like, with this perception and the passion and all of that, I feel that what is going to give a sense of freedom is this balanced ability. See the theme here with the doves? Here in the freedom card, it's like this woman is like sitting inside the castle walls, and this dove has come in from outside and flown in over the walls by its own free will and landed with her. Dove also represents the Holy Spirit. So this might be like you're in tune with your higher self, and that awareness and that direction and guidance is coming to you and leading you. And it's coming to you. You're not grasping for it. You're not gripping on. It's just, it's not like you're looking for a sign everywhere kind of thing. It just comes to you. And you're like, okay, I can accept this with an open hand. Underneath this is a repetition of this, but an elaboration on it, where this feminine, divine feminine, the divine feminine receives the wisdom, the insight of the Holy Spirit, that guidance. And that's in part of all of us, right? That's part of men, women, non-gender, like non-binary people. It doesn't matter. It's the energies that make up the whole universe. Positive, negative, neutral, feminine, masculine, central column. So this divine feminine character in the Temperance card, I think, represents one of the central column energies, where they're bringing balance to something. And so it's like, in one hand, there's one of the doves that sits contently, and she's focusing on that stillness, that receiving and stillness, while the other hand is open, and the other dove is free to come and go as it pleases. There's no holding on. There's no, oh, don't leave. It's just like, yes, come and go. You will be back. Or I'm focused on, what's coming to me. I'm not reaching. I'm not chasing. And so this sense of balanced detachment is very healthy. She's surrounded by dragonflies, which are symbols of transformation, especially because it's about the renewal of emotion and consciousness, because dragonflies skim on the surface of ponds. There's the cherry blossoms, which are a symbol of renewal, rebirth, innocence, purity, spring. And this, like, the purity of the dress here. Temperance is about bringing the governing forces within the self into balance. It's bringing the spiritual self in balance with the outer self. So it's like you're becoming a spiritually competent being, as well as being able to embody that and be a competent being in the material world as well. So it's like bringing these spiritual virtues and lessons out into the world, into your actions, and integrating them all. It's also about kind of like balance and peace and healthy moderation in things. But I like how she's sitting under this umbrella of red, this like plush red fabric. And that's like, this red keeps showing up through this reading. And it's like, it's here in the playfulness card on the mushroom. It's behind the actress on the stage in the drama of the curtain, the passion, the shroud, the cloak of passion that this king, the feminine king of wands, is shrouded in, and the red rose for passion. It's like all very passionate. And so that I feel like this balanced sense of freedom for, you know, whether it's a person to be able to come and go, or for you to have the perception that you can come and go within your life. If like, for instance, you have a job that is stressing you out, sometimes the stress is made worse because you think that you're trapped there and you can't leave. But if you give yourself permission to go get another job, it's like you're like, well, actually, I really like this job, and it's not that stressful after all. So it's just like giving yourself the freedom in life to make changes and to try something. And if it doesn't work out, then that's fine. Like hold it loosely, hold life loosely. And so that sense of freedom with yourself, extend that to others, right? Not that you can't have boundaries, but, you know, just no one wants to feel cornered or trapped or forced, or like there's an agenda or anything like that. And so, yeah, allowing yourself that mental freedom, letting go, the surrender, will actually keep you shrouded under like a veil, or like a covering of passion, because you'll feel passionate about the things that you're doing because you'll be there by choice, and you'll be showing up with enthusiasm, right? And you'll have more energy because you won't be fighting against the situation. You'll just feel free that you're there by choice, and that's a very liberating feeling, and it saves a lot of energy. You know, like sometimes just like pushing up against the circumstances is draining and exhausting. So finally we have playfulness, and it is anchored by the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is this younger, less mature version of the King of Wands. It's still in the fire element, but it's very like go-getter. I'm gonna sow my wild oats. I'm all like, I want to go conquer the world. I want to see everything. I want to do everything. I want to do everybody. Like, it's just like horny, crazy energy that's like unadulterated, sometimes without focus. That's why we're looking at focusing, like coming from this and focusing all of this energy, learning how to balance that and direct it properly so we can maintain the enthusiasm. Ooh, that's my timer. I cooked smothered cabbage. So we can maintain the enthusiasm and the passion and like that like go-getter spirit, and the willingness to sort of like take a risk on where it is that you're being called to go. You know, kind of jump through hoops to like make your dreams happen, putting in that maximum effort, mind, heart, body, soul, spirit, to really embody it and make it happen. But what's going to help is that you have to bring a sense of playfulness to this. This is a transformative time, and what's going to give you momentum is happiness, joy, following your bliss, following a sense of playfulness, and letting that sort of cushion you from, you know, step to this place to the next place as you're making your way along the journey. But I think there's going to be a lot of freedom found, and a lot of inner peace, and a lot of accelerated momentum and forward progress if we keep a sense of freedom with ourselves and others and situations, and a sense of playfulness. And I think that that will stoke our enthusiasm and our passion and our grit and our perseverance and our energy. All right, everybody, I'm going to now make my rice, and I'm gonna settle in and have some dinner. Oh, but before that, I wanted to read this, a little sentence from the Angel of Renunciation and Regeneration chapter. The Tibetan master Jwal Khul, I hope I said that right, says that to hold, one must detach, and to keep, one must release. Such is the law. Life for the disciple becomes then a series of detaching processes, until he has learned the lesson of renunciation. So I'll say that again. To hold, one must detach, and to keep, one must release. Such is the law. Life for the disciple becomes then a series of detaching processes until he has learned the lesson of renunciation. And like renunciation means a giving up, letting go, surrender. Regeneration is defined as being reborn into spirit, restored to original state of being. Excuse me. Accordingly, to awaken to our true identity, we have to give up something, often at a sacrifice. But once we break out of the dream, we see that it was not a sacrifice at all, only a replacing of the lesser with the greater. And then it goes on to mention in the Codex Rosé Crucis, a rare Rosicrucian manuscript dated between 1775 and 1780, we find a plate that reads in part, I know nothing, I want nothing, I can do nothing, I love nothing, I glory in nothing, I delight in nothing, I seek nothing. I also wish for nothing in heaven and on earth except the living word alone. And I think that that is true. Like that's what it means in the Mirror of Simple Souls. That part of one of the earliest steps of the process of ascension is self-emptying, meaning dying to our small goals and the will of the self, and opening ourselves and surrendering to the will of divine, that there may be greater in store and we may be holding ourselves back. All right, y'all, I am really excited about my smothered cabbage with smoked beef sausage and cooked potato and celery and onion, all that good stuff over rice. Yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow for Secret Teachings of Jesus, my secret midnight sermons. Ciao.